Sue Robbins, and I'm honoured to welcome you here tonight as the outgoing President of the Parent Teacher Student Association, or the PTSA. I'm also pleased to announce that Kim Biltoft, who is an incoming President, has a grade 8, so she kind of knows where you're all sitting. She'll be stepping in as the new PTSA President next year. We're excited to have you with us for the Moving Up 8th grade parent presentation. Tonight is a collaboration between WHS PTSA, the Middlebrook PTA, Class Project 2029, the Wilton Youth Council and our dedicated school counselling department here at Wilton High School. Thank you for joining us and as you begin this next chapter with your students. Before we begin, just a quick reminder about logistics. Please keep in mind that tonight's presentation is being recorded for those who couldn't attend. As previously shared, the student panel portion of the evening will not be recorded. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions in advance to the student panel. They'll be addressed later in the evening. As a parent whose own time at WHS is coming to a close, I wanted to take a moment to reflect and share a few insights. High school is an exciting time, but it also comes with its share of challenges for both students and parents. One of the most powerful things we can do during this transition is shift into the role of guide and coach. This means encouraging our students to problem solve on their own. When they come to you with a concern, try asking, do you want advice or do you just want me to listen? Help them to prepare to advocate for themselves, whether it's role-playing a conversation with the teacher or assisting them in writing an email, but always let them take the lead. It's not easy, but it helps build confidence, independence and resilience. Celebrate their wins and remind them that setbacks are an important part of growth. Being involved with the PTSA has been incredibly rewarding. Through our Gifts and Grants programme, we've funded everything from levitation kits in science to whiteboards in math classrooms that promote movement and group collaboration. We support creativity through programmes like Reflections and show appreciation to our teachers with breakfasts, lunches and the much loved Great Pie giveaway, amongst many other things that we do. We are proud to have funded the creation of the Media Production Professional Studio, which has become a valuable resource for the student projects such as Town Talks. And this year we are continuing that support by contributing towards the cost of installing the professional studio lighting to enhance the space even further. In another great example of collaboration, we were approached by one of our student clubs requesting support to bring in speaker Tanner Clark, a top youth speaker known for helping teens stay motivated and engaged in life. Through the hard work of the PTSA and thanks to winning both national and state PTA grants, we were able to make that impactful event a reality. It's actually taking place on May 28th, so it hasn't quite happened yet. We've also created student volunteer opportunities and are excited to expand this area in coming years. If you're looking for a way to stay involved, we'd love for you to join us, whether it's helping with hospitality, selling tickets for prom and homecoming, or signing up for one-time or ongoing volunteer roles. There are many ways to support the school community and get a window into your child's high school world. One thing I will say is that you'll be less involved in coming into school, so doing something like the PTSA is one way of getting into the school and meeting the teachers. Before I wrap up, I want to share 2 upcoming dates for your calendar. May 14th at 7 o'clock in the high school library, our first ever student volunteer opportunities fair will be happening. We'll be joined by over 18 local organisations, as well as school counsellors Pam Scott, teacher representative Anthony Prester and Principal Bob O'Donnell. And we'll also have the National Honour Society there as well to answer any questions that you may have. So I'd strongly urge you to bring your student and yourselves to this event. It promises to be a really good one. On August 22nd at 8:45 a.m. in the Clune Centre during freshman orientation, the freshman parent panel Q&A will take place. This is the PTA's attempt to give you an opportunity to speak to other parents who are in the high school who can answer questions, and they answer everything from lunch wave times right the way through to, locker combinations. We've had them all. So I would strongly urge you to attend that one as well. Thank you again for being here tonight. I hope you find the presentation helpful and as you prepare to move into this exciting new chapter. I'd now like to hand things over to Chandra Ring from the Wilton Youth Council. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you, Sue. As Sue said, my name is Chandra Ring, here representing Wilton Youth Council alongside Dr. Kevin Smith.
So, superintendent of schools, and I'm also a client. My youngest of 5 are your children's classmates in the class of 29.
So a year ago, I was sitting here as a parent as my youngest transitioned up to high school, and I have, through 4 kids, appreciated this program, the insight from Liz and from our students, so thank you everybody who's presenting tonight. Just to take a couple of minutes, I wanted to share the work of Wilton Youth Council. We do a couple of different things. The first thing that we do is work directly with students through youth programs that we offer. Starting in middle school, one of the programs we offer is Youth to Youth that continues through the high school, offering positive decisions to build resiliency and offer substance-free social opportunities. The second lane that we travel in is parent programs such as what you're sitting here tonight for. We offer a full slate throughout the year of meaningful programs to help build connections and maintain your relationship with your child. We do that in all different topics. We had a conversation yesterday, how to help when your child is struggling. We've done topics on technology, conversations all year long. If you have ideas, please don't ever hesitate to reach out. The third opportunity is we work with the community at large. We ran a volunteer program in the volunteer fair in the fall with the Wilton Library in collaboration with the schools, with many other organizations in the community. This past Saturday, the Community Cultural Celebration, we worked with the YMCA, the PTSA, the schools, and others. So we are in constant partnership with other organizations through the community and always trying to find ways to help people find their sense of belonging, find their place in the community, and foster strong relationships with their children. The last piece we're going to talk about, but the inception of Wilton Youth Council came from something called class projects, which I'm going to turn over to Kevin
Great,
to talk
thank
about.
you. So 2 things, put a pin in that for just 1 second. I want to underscore the importance of the partnership with Wilton Youth Council. When you get an email and you see the WYC at the bottom, read that email, don't throw it in your junk. Wilton Youth Council, about 2 things. Community connection and education. And they have been probably the most instrumental partner in this town for us as the schools in the 11 or so years that I've been here, and really helping us think about our whole program and making sure that we're tending to the whole child. So some of you, we started this about that time. If you had kids at Miller Driscoll, or so I don't know if you remember the Free Play Project. That was in partnership with the Youth Council. They brought Lenore Skenazy here. They sat in my office and said, hey, you guys got to pay attention. We need to get kids outside. We need to get them connecting. We need to get them off the devices. We need to get them playing. And then they provided a host of programs. And from kind of that point forward, we've been thinking a lot about all of the ways that we can bring kids together socially, we can bring adults together socially, and we can provide some educational inputs. And so the Youth Council is tremendous. Coming back around, so I'm going to put on my parent hat for a second, and I'm standing here also as a representative for Wilton Youth Council's class projects. Will is looking at me and he's like, Dr. Smith, what is the class project, and what's Class Project 2029? Well, that's an exceptional question, I'm going to tell you. Okay? So Class Project 2029, Will, is a program of the Wilton Youth Council. All right? The program originated in 1982. It was initiated by the parents of the class of 1988 under the Wilton Youth Council Action Committee at the time. The purpose of the project is to bring people together, families, to create social connection, which I think we can all agree coming out of the pandemic is more important than ever, to provide fun, safe, drug and alcohol-free activities for all of our kids, and to raise money for this exceptional event that takes place the night of graduation. Those of you who've been through this, what's that called? PGP, that's right. So you're going to hear the next 4 years, if that's not an expression that's familiar to you, you're going to hear a lot about PGP. PGP costs about, I don't know,
$70,000 to $80,000.
$70,000 to $80,000.
It is a large scale event.
yeah, with tariffs, probably 150. So we got some work to do. And so it's all parent funded. And the intent here is to create an experience for all of our graduating seniors. Whether if you live in Wilton, you graduate from Wilton High School or another school. All right, as long as you're a resident of Wilton and you're in that class of 29, you get to participate. But the idea is to create a fun, safe, memorable experience for them as a last hurrah before they head off to the rest of the world. So, that sounds amazing, doesn't it? All right, and so I know, Will, the next question you're going to ask is, Dr. Smith, how can everybody get involved? We're together tonight, buddy. All right, so thank you for being here. 3 ways. Number 1, you can participate. Okay? You can participate. We've got it. This is like the Ronco commercial. You can participate easily as early as next Monday. What's going on next Monday? Well, we've got practice out in the fields. You know, we've got some things going on in other places. We also have, just for you, parents of the class of 29, we have a grown-up night at Marley's from 7 to 9. Okay, that's an opportunity to come together, meet some folks that you may have not gotten to know a little bit. We've got raffle prizes, so you can donate some money. I understand Carl Spritta is working on a couple of signature beverages specifically for the class of 29, so adults, that sounds cool. Free and easy. Come in, drop by, say hello, and buy some raffle tickets. What are we raffling, Will? Wonderful question again. Right? Okay. Anyone here you've been through? Anyone who's got older kids that have already been through Soaring Ahead? All right. So you know what that's like, right? Like if you haven't been, it's down here. It's in the field house. There's 1 million seats. Like it's a hall. We're going to give away 4 VIP seats just for you. What do you got to do? You got to show up and you got to bid on that as well.
Enter that raffle, guys.
Right. Here's what else we have for you, because we're just thinking about your best interests. Anyone have any members of the class of 25 here? Oh, okay. You definitely need to come. We're going to give away 4 VIP seats for graduation. Okay. So, and then we got a bunch of other stuff too. We've got 2 all-access passes for all of the fall sports events. We've got tickets to the fall play. So, I mean, really, there's absolutely no other place to be for a couple hours on a Monday night. Come and get some raffle tickets, meet some new friends. It's going to be amazing. What else can you do? You can register on the Youth Council website for the Great Race to High School. You've probably seen a few emails. They've gone out. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you, Jacqueline, for organizing this. On May 29th from 4 to 6 down at Merwin's, we're inviting all of the 8th graders to get together. We're going to organize them in teams, and they're going to have a ton of fun. What else do we got going on that day? Yeah, so 10 minutes ago, she's like, don't call on me. I'm a background person.
It's going to be so much fun. We're going to compete. We have some games for them. We're going to be selling some swag. We're going to
Parents are
going to come, share on their kids. We're going to have some food, some music. It's going to be a really fun time for kids to come share on your kid and their color. And just they'll get some bragging rights if they win. So it'll be a fun day. So it's Thursday, May 29th from 4 to 6.
Awesome. So it's already in your inbox. It'll come again. So keep an eye out for it. So that's 2 ways that you can participate. Will, how else can people get involved? You can lead. We need help. The class of 29, it takes a ton of time and effort and volunteers to come together and to organize these fantastic events. So all you have to do is show up at one of the ones that's coming up, put your name on a spreadsheet, we'll reach out to you, and we just need you to show up, to step up, and to work with your fellow parents to make the next 4 years amazing. So you can lead. And the last way, Will, you can donate, right? I don't have time, I don't have, whatever, I can always write a check. And so, kind of begin where we end here with the class projects. That event is super expensive. The kids have a life-changing experience as a result. It costs a lot of money, and so, we're always happy to take donations from you, your employers, your grandmother, anyone else. So that's it for me on that front. Just coming back full circle here, I'm going to put my other hat on. Welcome to Wilton High School. This is a tremendous place. I say it fiercely with a ton of pride. I have kids in this school. I have one that graduated from this place. There's not a better high school on planet Earth. Kids come here, they make incredible friendships. Wait till you hear from our amazing panel. You're going to be blown away. If this is your first time through, you're going to have some amazing days, and you're going to have some really hard days. That's why you need to come out to Marley's and make some new friends, okay? Because in those hard days, we got to lean on each other. On that note, thank you all for being here, and I turn it back to Ms. Pamela Scott and Ms. Deborah Marino, our two amazing.
All right, how could you say no to that? And Will, thank you for all those amazing questions. We can count on our students to help us out all the time. And just so you know, this is our student panel down here. We're going to leave them here for right now, and then later in the evening, we're going to invite, no, Will, we're going to invite them up for a Q&A at the end. So if you have questions for them, they'll be answering questions for you, and we don't prep them at all, other than our superintendent preps his student, but we did not prep the students. They will give you honest feedback about any questions you have about the high school. And as our superintendent said, we have amazing relationships, and we could not do this program, nor could our high school function as well as it does without the support of the PTSA and the Wilton Youth Council. It really is an amazing partnership, and they help put this evening on for us each year, and we value that, and our students really benefit from all the resources that they have. And again, just one more plug to get involved with the PTSA and check out Wilton Youth Council. And Mrs. Marino and myself are the 9th grade counselors here at Wilton High School. We have an outstanding counseling staff that I'm proud to represent here tonight. We meet with the students, the 9th grade students, and then we have 10 through 12 counselors as well that meet with the students and are integral to their 4 years here at the high school. So we have a fabulous speaker that I am honored to introduce today. I'm going to just give a brief bio. This is just a small portion of what Liz is involved with. Liz Driscoll Jorgensen. Liz Jorgensen has 35 years experience with adolescent and adult psychotherapy and counseling. She is a nationally recognized expert in counseling, particularly in engaging resistant teens and motivating them to change. She was the coordinator of adolescent substance abuse services at Danbury Hospital and helped to create and run adolescent psychiatric services in her 18 years there. Since 2000, Liz has been the owner and director of Insight Counseling in Ridgefield, where she collaborates with 7 dedicated colleagues to run a full spectrum of outpatient programs. Liz has also been a consultant to Newport Healthcare, a national adolescent and young adult treatment system for the past 12 years. Liz has received a congressional award in 1994 for her work in treatment innovation and prevention. She has been on faculty of Harvard CME for 20 years and has presented on issues related to adolescent treatment, recovery, and program development. Most recently, Liz was featured in the Netflix documentary, Take Your Pills. Liz is also a consultant to many independent and public schools and treatment agencies and is a popular speaker on topics related to mental health, parenting, and clinical work with young people. Her counseling theory has been published by NIDA 1990. Liz and her husband, Matt, are parents to 4 grown children, and I can tell you, you are in for a treat because she's an amazing, intelligent speaker. We're lucky to have her. She donates her time to be here for, every year, and so if you could give a warm welcome to Liz Jorgensen.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here, and I just want to say a little, can I give a little, parenthetical warning? I'm going to make fun of teenagers a little bit. Is that okay? Is that all right? But it's all science-based. It's not insult-based. It's just about how your brain gets ahead of you sometimes, and the limbic system, the emotions kind of take over. Okay. I always feel so bad because these guys are in the front row, and I'm going for the laughs back there, and it's a little tense. So I am so honored to every year be honored by my friends and colleagues here. Wilton's really special school. Part of my job over 35 years is I interact with a lot of different schools, and there's a sense of community in this building, and you kind of take it for granted, I guess, if you're part of it, but the way that the community is deeply involved in the school, and the school is deeply involved in the community, I mean, that's what we really need to heal things in our screen-obsessed, highly competitive world. We have to have community, and you guys are walking into a system that values it. I mean, here's our superintendent. He doesn't have to be here. I I mean, that's pretty cool. A lot of superintendents you don't see till they're fighting for the budget, you know? But that's real in Wilton. And I love the staff here, and I am not paid to say that. I just think they're great. Now, on that note, I'm here to give you, and I love what Sue said. She was very quiet and wise to say that you are becoming a coach to your child and a guidance and providing scaffolding. And I'm going to give you a little kind of startling data as I go through the presentation about what we know is contributing to the Western world's mental health care crisis. Mental health crisis. Actually, I hate that. I don't like mental health crisis. It's actually crisis of mental illness. We like the mental health, and you can kind of summarize what's right in this quote that my doctor told me many years ago. Our oldest daughter's 38, going to be 39. Children need two things to be healthy and happy as they grow: to know that they are loved for who they are, and that there are limits to their behavior. And one of the issues that we know from research is, I was born in 1963, so I'm older than you guys, and things were a lot more black and white back then, and corporal punishment was used, and it was culturally acceptable, etc. Then we had a few generations of parents who raised their kids according to the fashionable parent experts of the time, whom many of them were wrong. That children don't get self-esteem from being told how great they are. They get self-esteem from doing esteemable things and having parents guide them through that process. And I love this quote. I live in Reading, and this quote is on the library, Mark Twain Library, because he lived in Reading. When I was a boy, 14, my father was so ignorant, I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much the old man had learned in 7 years. And that's about what if your child hasn't hit full puberty yet, it's coming, and it's very difficult. My husband and I were very involved parents, and as you all are, obviously, to be out here tonight, and to suddenly have your darling daughter or son push you away, question your judgment. Like, you know, my kids basically questioned, like, how did I run my life? Like, you know, I used to use humor to cope, so I used to say to my daughter, you know, you should come to the office with me all day. Like, it would be great. You should tell me what to do and how to improve things. It would be fabulous. And part of it is developmentally healthy. If you've done a really good job teaching your child to have self-esteem and to express themselves and to express their emotions, they keep expressing themselves. So they become teenagers and they want to distinguish themselves and they want to share their opinions. And I think if any of you want to leave early, no, don't leave because the students are the best part of this. Parents need to learn to not take the teen brain seriously. And I'm going to get to that in the next slide. Don't want to depress you, but we're at the worst state right now in this. Actually, it's a global problem right now. There's a study that was just published in Nature, a global flourishing problem that looked at mostly Western, mostly cultures that are affected by screens. And I'm optimistic that so much data is in now about what we can do to make things better, but I do have to share that COVID is only a part of this problem. What else is going on? Two variables that seem to stand out is parents' anxiety and desire to, and over-parenting does sound pedantic and insulting, but that's what they use in the literature. So parents anticipating children's needs and meeting them in advance and not letting them struggle. It's a pretty simple concept, right? Because human beings, like all other primates, they learn in social groups and they have to make mistakes to learn. And teenagers have to make mistakes. They have to do at least a few boneheaded things as teenagers. My family, we have great stories. Each one of my kids did really ridiculous things. In fact, my youngest didn't really do a ridiculous thing till junior year that we caught her at. And her biggest heartbreak was she was going to be the Jorgensen kid that didn't do something stupid and didn't wind up in the principal's office, and she broke it. And your kids are more resilient than you know, and they're going to make mistakes, and the way you react to those mistakes is actually going to make them either okay in the future or make them constantly doubt themselves, and it can lead to actually anxiety. Some anxiety is biological, but some is self-doubt. The other variables that are arranged here are perceived pressures that many young people feel. Even in this lovely culture of Wilton High School, kids put a lot of pressure on themselves even in families where, you know, you may not be pushing the child to take well honors classes or do many activities, etc. Many children these days they believe that it's almost impossible to get into school. I had a young lady in my office the other day who was absolutely convinced. She heard some college counselor say that AI screens all the applications, and since she had a 3.85 and not a 4.0, that she would be screened out of schools. Like, first of all, I don't think a college counselor would say that. It was probably something she saw on TikTok, you know, or something ridiculous, and she's on my sofa, like, sobbing, as if this is true, and she can't get into schools, etc. So the culture around it, we live in this wonderful place. Your property taxes pay for an amazing school system. But the downside of an amazing elite school system is kids put a lot of pressure on themselves, even if you are not doing it at home. Some structure, some pressure, some expectations, absolutely necessary. Too much too soon, kids feel defeated and they don't think they can make one mistake. And you can make one mistake and get into college. You definitely can. We do know that we're seeing a worldwide, in the Western cultures, problem with lack of socializing. So it's not so much the screens that are causing more anxiety and depression with kids, it's the screens minus the interaction even with adults and with each other and reading nonverbal cues. About 80% of communication is nonverbal cues. What I'm doing right now, I'm scanning faces to see if you're with me or not. Trying not to go on a tangent when people aren't with me. But human beings are meant to be socially, physically together, and not just together on their phones. And we have to find ways that kids can have more of those interactions. So the reason social media is really hurting our children is the perceived comparisons. I'm going to explain that in my next slide. And a lot of kids, listen, teenagers are children still. Adolescence means essence of adult, right? They're not adult. My son was 6'4" and cried like a baby, you know, when he first discovered that global warming was affecting him. And he became an environmental geologist. I'm so proud of him. But really, it hit him hard. He had earth science, I think, freshman year, high school, and to figure out, you know, that the earth was warming really upset him. And kids are more aware of what's going on in the world than you think. They pay close attention, and I think the reason I chose to specialize with teenagers is, you know, I get so much energy from them, and they challenge me, and they're usually pretty accurate in what they're upset about and concerned about. And there's a lot going on in the world, right? I mean, it's still the safest time to ever be a human being since recorded history, and it's still the safest time to be in high school, honestly. I graduated high school in 1979. 7 kids in my class died in drunk driving accidents. It's because there were no seatbelts in 1979. The driving age was 16. You went in on your 16th birthday with a note from your mother that you could get your driver's license, that she had taught you how to drive, right? So things have really improved immensely. I know we're all addicted to the news cycle and the bad things that happen, but it's the adult's job to tell kids, like, we still live in the best country possible. I mean, we've got a to-do list, but we're in the best country. And our kids are already on third base being in Wilton High School. They're already, all they need is a bunt. And it's a mid-season game, and the pressure's low. And we as parents have to remember that so that we don't put too much pressure on them. That makes sense. And kids are looking for, and adults are looking for meaning again. I think that's going to be the new revolution that helps our mental health crisis. Human beings, we like to create meaning. And if meaning isn't there, we make it up. We make up symbols, we make up superstitions, we make up connections. And kids especially are, a lot of kids come to counseling, and honestly, they're just having existential issues of, like, I want my life to mean something. I want to be devoted to something. I want to care about something. And we, at Insight Counseling, we do something weird. Nobody stopped me from doing it, but we have community service projects with a homeless shelter that I've done work with for years because a dear friend of mine used to run it. She passed away. So in memorial of her, we get the kids to help create a Christmas party for the entire homeless shelter every year. And we do Easter baskets, and we do activities. And I make kids who are depressed, lay in the fetal position, addicted to their phone, whatever. And I say, you're gonna come out, we're gonna go to the party, we're gonna, you know, work with the kids, you're gonna feel great. I tell you, they get addicted to it. They're like, I wanna do more of that. I wanna help more people. And I don't do it to be a better person. I do it because it's evidence-based. Service work and doing good things for other people makes us happy, right? But how many times do you hear that or from our politicians or whatever, you're not gonna hear it. So social media is definitely contributing. I just don't wanna overemphasize it because it's not how much time you're on the phone, it's how smart you are to know your brain is being tricked to keep comparing yourself unfavorably to other people. That, I've just summarized like reams of data for you. That's what hurts adults and kids. So it's up to you guys as the parents to say to your kids, well, you know that's fake, right, honey? And your friend didn't wake up that way. Like one girl came to my office, she saw me, my friend wakes up beautiful. She has 50 likes in the morning. I go, she didn't wake up beautiful. I go, let's zoom in. I go, look, she's got eyeliner, makeup, the hair's blowing like in a movie, you know. I go, this, sweetie, you're comparing your insides to somebody's carefully crafted outsides, and then you feel lacking. When the truth is, I mean, not everything on social media is fake, but a lot of it is fake, right? Isn't that why, like, if somebody actually shares that they're having a bad day and like is honest online, like people are blown away, right? But it's mostly fake. I'm gonna skip over this. This is just more data to back up what I said. Oops. And before you go all crazy about taking the phones and screens away from your child, I emphasize to families, just encourage, get to know the parents that the superintendent did such a great speech of, and try to arrange family events, and especially before anyone starts driving. Like, get to know your kids' friends' parents, try to get families together, invite people over to barbecue. It's how we used to do it. That's how we used to roll. Before screens, I used to have the whole baseball team over one Friday night after a game, and then some other parent would do it, and some other parent would do it. Those are the experiences that make your child learn socially and feel really good. And if you can be involved, you'll actually know what's going on with your kid, because they'll talk about what's going on in front of you when they have other teenagers around in front of you. Do you understand how that works? Especially if you drive them around, if you carpool, fabulous. If you're in the front seat and you can pretend to be invisible because they think you're invisible anyway, you'll hear a revelation in the back seat of exactly what's going on. And we're losing that. Okay, research shows there are different styles of parenting, and I'm not here to say that some of the styles are bad. Just research shows the best style of parenting is what Sue actually brought up. It's called authoritative parenting, where you do have high expectations for your child, you give lots of love and support, but you're still the boss, okay? And I don't know how many of you, hopefully you all still have your parents. I lost both of my parents in the last few years, and like, there are days I still want to call them and say, like, can you believe what, or what do you think of this? Like, we learn too late, right, the wisdom of our parents. But kids, they could be rolling their eyes, they could be talking to the hand, they could be pretending, they could, you know, don't you love when they sneak the earbuds in and you're like, excuse me, I'm talking to you. They actually do want you to have some authority over them. Now, what's the difference between authoritarian and authoritative? Basically, because I said so, and what have you already tried here? Or like, oh wow, that must be really awful that you got cut from the play and they gave you a choice to be in chorus, but you don't want to be in chorus. Like, do you want advice? Do you want to just vent? You're still in charge though. You still say no alcohol, no drugs. We need to know who you're going out with and who you're getting in the car with. But you just don't, well, you try not to freak out, first of all, but you make your child feel safe that there are firm boundaries and you're going to enforce them, but you're not going to criticize them. You're not going to use coercion. You're not going to shame them. And that can be very hard for some of us if we grew up with that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times my parents told me if I didn't eat dinner, children in China were starving. I never really made the connection, but like, that was the culture. Does that make sense? And every once in a while with our 14s, I had two very active boys, and every once in a while I had to be authoritarian, or my husband and I would call them into the dining room table and be like, okay, we know what happened. You're gonna tell us the whole story, and if your story matches what we already know, we're good. Okay, now that's authoritarian. Every once in a while, when they wouldn't admit who dented the car and they were covering up for each other and they were doing a very poor job of it, we had an authoritarian night at the Jordan household. No yelling, no carrying on, but you better tell us the truth of who dented the, It wasn't us, and no, somebody didn't drive into the driveway going 40 miles an hour, hit your car and go out, like this was actually what was said to me by 16-year-olds. So, why am I telling you that my kids lie? Because your kid's gonna lie to you, if it hasn't happened already. And not about little things. They're gonna say that they wanna go to someone's house to study, and then they're gonna go to that house that you feel safe at, and then they're all gonna go to the house that you don't know the parents. And it's probably gonna be because somebody's hot or cute or invited them or whatever. Kids do things like this. An authoritative parent says, hey, I understand you wanted to go, why don't you just, this was the thing I said about 50 times around, why don't you just ask us for the second thing first? Like why? Well, nobody else was allowed to go, so they had to sneak, and you'd probably say yes, and then you have these interesting conversations with them about decision making and how now I have lost trust. Now I am going to call and check you out more thoroughly the next time. That's authoritative, and it's really about the tone. And there's a lot of great stuff online about this. Teenagers, if you come in authoritarian, they go limbic on you. What does that mean? This is a dramatization of the brain. The blue is the neocortex, that's the outer level, that's where all the highest order thinking comes from, and it's the part that is developing most rapidly in teenagers. Teen brains make hundreds of millions of new connections, sometimes a day, depending on how intensely they're studying or exercising, etc. Mother Nature's prepping them for the adult load, which is pretty heavy, isn't it? It's not so easy to be an adult some days. But at the same time, she does this really weird thing. The limbic system is about the size of a small fist, and that's the red area. That's the seat of all emotion and all instinct. And human beings have instinct. Mothers ever go through labor? Mother nature takes over your body, right? Instinct takes over, right? Fathers too, somehow when that child is little and can't talk, you know when they're really sick, right? You know it. We all have these interesting instinctual feelings. Guess what teens' instincts tell them to do? Move away from parental authority and get more time with your peers. Find out what you're interested in. Try a whole bunch of different things too. It's called novelty seeking. Teenagers are so fun because they always want to try new things. And for parents, it can be a little disconcerting because, for example, my third son, he was always very orderly and always did his homework and like pretty much raised himself. He was so sweet, but whatever. Always did what I said to do. All of a sudden, the limbic takes over, and he was like, Mom, why am I the only one that takes out the garbage? I was like, well, you're not the only one. You're the only one that does it when I ask. So, please don't stop. So he started pushing it away. Like I'm not going to be that good kid. I mean, he actually was still pretty good. So please don't take this personally. The teen limbic system also kind of drives them crazy. My niece, who's now 38, one time she came to videotape me speaking, and she heard me say this, or I think we were in Boston together. And she was only 17. She's like, oh my gosh, Auntie, I didn't realize, I get so embarrassed sometimes of the way I talk to my mom, and I love her so much, I don't even know why I'm so rude to her. I think it's my limbic system. And she was really serious because I'm not her mom, so we're driving back, and she's like, revelation. So sometimes your teen is gonna say something really, really rude to you, or snap, or just overreact before them. How many times you do this? They're overreacting and the sentence hasn't even finished coming out of your mouth, right? What's most effective and authoritative in those positions is to hold your tongue and let them have their little limbic temper tantrum, because it calms down. If you don't take the bait and fight back, they calm down. They don't even want to be that way sometimes, right? So that's what I say. I'm making fun of you guys, but I don't. It's not fun. It's science. The brain is not developed. The prefrontal cortex right here, which is the seat of all the executive functioning of our species, so our ability to time manage, our ability to engage in complex multi-step actions, our ability to read thoroughly social cues, all the executive functions of the brain happen here, and it's the last part to develop. And what I always said about our kids, by the time they were about 19, we just calmed it right down, 18, 19, depending on when they start puberty, because the prefrontal cortex and the increased limbic activity starts the minute that full puberty comes. And it lasts about 10 to 12 years. It's looking like, for some reason, boys it goes a little bit longer. That's probably why developmentally girls kind of excel academically till college and boys kind of catch up. And what we know is sometimes if you yell and scream, you're actually stimulating that limbic system of your child more. What you want them to do is feel bad about their own behavior. Because zap, I imagine that makes like 1 million new cells in the neocortex, right? If the distress is yours, the kid doesn't learn anything. Does that make sense? And I'll tell you a quick story. My son, who's a scientist now, and he's fine and whatever, he really lied and said there was a practice sleepover for the Boy Scouts, which any of you who've ever done scouting, there's 72,000 emails for any activity. So I knew he was lying in the house. There was a practice sleepover in the state park that's right near my house. He didn't drive yet. He was 14 or 15, freshman year. I don't know if he had turned 15 yet. So you're gonna think this is devious, but this is what I did. I said, okay, well, I'll drive you there because you can't get there. Okay, Mom, okay, all right, okay, but I don't want you calling like any of the other parents. Like, okay, you two, here's your shovel, sir. You wanna, okay, now we have a pile of you know what around. And I just let him go and go and go. So I'm driving him to the park, which luckily wasn't too far away. And I pull up the car, not where he's telling me, Mom, just park on the road, park on the road, park on the road. I go, no, I'm gonna go, no, I'm pulling it. And above, my headlights hit about 150 teenagers with red Solo cups that spread like cockroaches immediately when the light goes on, right? And I go, what do you know? It looks like, are you guys, you're camping over here? Like, it looks like, oh, somebody's already there. Like, are you sure? Like, and then my son starts pretending to get a phone call. This is before texting. This is how old this story is. He's 36. Okay, we're meeting on the other side of Putnam. Okay, all right, cool. Now, I knew he was also faking the phone call because I run and walk the dog in Putnam Park. There was no service at the time. And I'm actually loving it because I'm like, oh, I'm going to get him so bad at the end. It's going to be so great. I'm going to just tweak his brain. It's going to be fabulous. And and maybe your kids are not going to lie as much as mine, but okay. So then he gets me to the other side of the park. And I said, Chris, there's no one here. We're going home. So now he knows that I know we're quiet. I knew he knew that he was guilty, and I knew he was guilty because he left it on NPR. He didn't put his rap music on. Okay, so we get to the driveway, and this is authoritative versus laissez-faire where you don't care, oh, boys will be boys, oh, it's so funny, or authoritarian, how dare you? I said, Chris, don't you ever scam like that. And I said, guess what? You're in charge of entertaining your little brother all weekend. If he wants to play Connect 4 for 6 hours straight, there's 8 years between him and his little brother. You're gonna do your punishment is you're gonna be your brother's slave, and I'm watching it, and that's your punishment, and that's it. I don't want to hear anything about it. Please, Mom, don't call any of the other parents. He's such a narc. I go, we're not gonna take Mom's inventory this evening. Right. Now, that really happened. And he's a great kid. But the authoritative, do you see how it makes them squirm a little bit, right? And I'm sure you guys have never done anything like that, but authoritarian, when we yell, when we get limbic, we teach them to be dysregulated, right? And man, I was biting the inside of my mouth. It wasn't like that was a happy kumbaya moment. So that's how you deal with a teen limbic system when they do lie or sneak or cheat or whatever they're doing. And research shows over and over again, there's a study of twins that's been going on, I think, for like 26 years at NIH, but it's probably defunded, but I don't know if you can still get the research, but I read it, so I'll tell you. Kids who get authoritative parenting and a lot of support, but also a lot of expectations and structure, and especially about ethical and moral things, like lying was my big bugaboo. Like, I knew they were gonna do stupid things, but you lie to my face, oh, we have a problem. Because I didn't want to raise a dishonest kid, you know, and that's just me. I mean, it's getting more popular these days to be dishonest and get millions of dollars for it, but I have a different value system. But the more the authoritative voice comes in from the parent, the high expectations, but lots of support, the faster the brain develops, 3-4 years sooner even. Pretty cool. All right. Social aggression, bullying, a lot of that's related to the limbic system. Now, the school does a beautiful job at dealing with bullying when it's here. But I wouldn't freak out if you see your kids like being mean or say they said something mean online or something like that, it's not okay, certainly. We limit it, but it doesn't mean they're gonna stay that way forever. And the parents' limbic system needs to learn this. So many highly educated, devoted parents take, you know how there's film and there's the stills from the film, right? You take one still, like if I had seen my son as a terrible lying manipulator who just wanted to be at the party where all the kids were, or a lot of the kids were, I don't know if all of them were. He was 15 years old. It was a snapshot, it wasn't a movie. But how many times do we take what they're doing in the moment and then we project, oh my God, this kid, he's never gonna get to college, that's on us, that's our anxiety, that's our projection. And we've got to have really a real hold on our emotions. I definitely did yell a few times, and I have one of my kids is like a therapy aficionado, and I'm going to get invited to her therapist's office one day. I know it's coming, but she lives in Colorado, and she was like, I still have memories of the time you yelled at me to get in the car. I'm like, yeah, we had to bring your brother to the emergency room. You don't get any context these days. You have for like authoritarian parents. I'm like, honey, your brother had been 103 fever. But guess what? I had to validate, listen, I'm really sorry, you're right. I remember that day. My head was spinning around like The Exorcist. I was very upset. We had to get to the emergency room. Thank you for reminding me. Glad I don't pay for your therapy anymore. Move on. But we have to model good behavior. And you know what? I always apologize. If I yell to my kid, because you're going to go limbic sometimes, I would say, I'm really sorry I lost it. I didn't say I'm really sorry I lost it, but you lied right to my face 62 times. I just said I'm really sorry I lost it. Conversation later. And there's no such thing as good kids and bad kids, and I really get annoyed. People call me if they want to bring their kids to our programs. We have a really effective teen group program, DBT program, whatever. And they say, I really want to know the profile of all the other kids in the group, because are these good kids? I'm like, well, your kid needs the group, and they're just like your kid, pretty much, from what I know. Like, no, all kids are going to do goofball things. There's no such thing as a bad kid, right? You know, kids' reputations get destroyed sometimes by parents gossiping. I think we need to do a better job. We've got to do a better job. Because every single one in this room, do you guys remember being a teenager? There are things you still haven't told your parents, right? Right up. Right up. Okay, good. Right into my slide, yes. We did this ourselves. And the best lessons my kids ever learned were squirming, uncomfortable. My son one time, same kid with the cake party, wrote an email to a teacher saying that he couldn't hand in his paper on time because his uncle had died, okay? And didn't realize like he was my third kid through the high school, so like I got a lovely email back from the teacher like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear your loss, okay. Kids do stuff like this, or mine did, he was very impulsive. And you know how I handled it? Didn't yell. I sat down and said, oh, there's been a death in the family. Always wanted them to squirm. I said, Christopher Thomas, what are you thinking? He said, well, Uncle Frank died. I said, well, yeah, that was your great uncle, and his funeral was like 4 months ago. You lied. How do you want to handle it? You can write back to Mrs. X on this email chain to me and make a full apology, and I'll allow that. I prefer you do a personal face-to-face apology. That's always best. But I'll probably go with you to make sure that you do it. I go, unacceptable, unacceptable. Like, no. You don't do, Mom, I can feel my mother's late. Oh, well. And this is where parents get in trouble. We want kids to have the benefit of natural consequences without actually having to go through the consequence. And it don't work like that. And parents of the 7th and 8th graders are already worried about college. Like, take a breath, people. All 4 of my kids got to college. They pay all their own bills. It's going to happen, your kid's going to be fine, but they've got to learn from their errors. And I always say this, and Dr. Smith knows this, and I always uphold the authority of the school. Try not to get involved in your teacher's relationship with your child. Let them have their own relationships with other adults who care deeply about them. And I can tell in the Wilton school system, these teachers care a lot, okay? Don't, as Sue said, fix the problems for them. Don't reach out to the teacher. Like, I didn't even reach out to that teacher to say, oh, I'm so sorry that my son lied. Because you know what? Because I didn't lie. My squirmy little son lied. He had to say to the teacher. And Oh my God, I'm telling so many bad stories about one kid, but it's just flowing tonight. That same kid, one time, he did come to me, and there was a teacher for a while, Deb will know who I'm talking about, who was quite eccentric in a certain department of our school, and had really like strict rules for things, and didn't waver at all. And your kid's gonna have one teacher like that, and guess what? They're gonna have one boss like that, and they're gonna have a mother-in-law like that. So suck that up. But he comes to me and he goes, this teacher, she said I did it, I didn't do it, I really didn't do it, I followed the rules, blah, blah, blah. I go, Chris, with everything we've been through, take the hit for all the times that other teachers didn't catch you, okay? That's how that is, because I'm not gonna dissolve the authority of the school to get you off the hook. This one time you happened to actually not, and it wasn't anything dire, he wasn't being accused of anything. And I want to tell you a quick message that kind of ties to the theme tonight. When we do too much for our children, what we're teaching them is that they're not capable. And just a few decades ago, 17-year-olds went and fought the Second World War. Okay, not that we ever want that to happen to you guys, but the adults have to kind of wake up and just really smell the coffee and say, in a global economy where it is quite competitive, the person who can hold their temper is going to do well. The person who understands that there's a way to get through to the difficult boss because your parents made you get through to the difficult teacher, that person's going to do better than the kid whose mom or dad fixed everything. And that's fact borne out by science, right? And I want to tell you the story of Zorba the Greek, who was actually a real person in Greece, but he was fictionalized. He told the story of being a boy of about 10 or 11 and watching a cocoon all day in one of his parents' vineyards. It was on a tree. And he knew it was a monarch butterfly. And as a curious boy, he just wanted to see this butterfly come out. He watched all day. And it was starting to get dark, and he had to be home at the kitchen table by 6:30, and he knew that. And so he took a pocket knife out, and he cut the cocoon. And he saw the butterfly fly up. And then the wings were too weak to hold it, and it fell down and it died. And I'm going to tie this back to the mental health crisis. That's actually what we're doing to our kids. We're cutting their cocoon before they flex those muscles enough to know, I'm going to be okay without mom and dad. I'm going to be able to make decisions. Hard things are going to happen because you guys know this. Life is hard. Hard things happen. You lived through COVID, right? And you might live through another epidemic in your lifetime, right? Hopefully not. Human life is hard. It's the safest time to ever be a human, but it's hard. We can't cut their cocoon. Okay, quick. What can you do? Stay authoritative as you can, set those limits and boundaries, and safety first. You gotta know who they're driving in the car with. So many parents don't enforce the graduated license. I really think that's dumb. It's our convenience. Do that. Praise effort over achievement, because 99%, 99.9678%, I just made up the statistic, of human endeavor is the effort, and then you get the reward, and then you get the paycheck. And kids can get praise addicted, right? And all grades are inflated now, whatever. No, praise their effort. You worked really hard on that test, and you got a C, but hey, it was really hard, that exam. Sleep, 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 sleep. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Sleep is the time the brain recovers and stores long-term memories. It's absolutely crucial. This generation is sleep deprived. Okay, they're sleep deprived, and it really, in the Jurgensen household, we were so lucky. I had a router, so we would just turn the router off. Boom. Oh, it was so much better, parents. The Wi-Fi. I have parents that are making a new Wi-Fi password on rotation every night. It's really hard. But if you start in freshman year, this is the way we do this. This is the bedtime. Screens out of the room, etc. It's going to make a huge difference in your child's education and emotional life. In fact, some of the people that come to my counseling center, the teenagers showing the symptoms of depression with a pediatrician, and they send them in. And it's pure sleep deprivation, because we always do an assessment of that, and the kid gets on a good sleep schedule, and they're not depressed. They don't need medicine. They don't even need counseling. They just need to sleep. And really, truly, make that be the hill you die on with your kid, right? I would say you could stand me up at the gates of hell. Bedtime is 10 o'clock. You have to get up by 6:30. I'd rather you go to bed at 9 just to get out of my hair and stop arguing with me, but that's it. You gotta do it. And kids, they're driving too tired. They're driving distracted and tired. It's bad. If you can, this is a little pressure I know in everyone's world, but try to have family dinners as a ritual, at least a few times a night. I mean, a week, if you can. I used to food prep on Sundays, and then we had a couple days that were like leftover days and like Taco Tuesday, whatever, easy stuff. I love to cook, but we just made things that kids liked, and we'd sit together and we would get so much information. And again, back to authoritative, kids can be fresh and say no or whatever. Focus on what they actually do. So if my son would roll his eyes and think it was stupid that he had to mow the lawn or whatever, I would just, honestly with 4 kids, it would just go in one ear and out the other. I'd be like, la, 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 la. If I saw him out on the mower, we're good, right? So that's a little authoritative stance too. So many parents get into like what's right, what's wrong, who said what, who's disrespectful, whatever. Measure, because wouldn't you rather than that the kid be polite to you and not mow the lawn? Right? I mean, we'd love them to be polite and mow the lawn, but, you know, this is planet Earth, so we're not going to get that. You still have to worry about drinking. It's still the #1 drug that adults and kids like. Affluent areas have very high rates of adult misuse of alcohol, and that always trickles down to the kids. Yes, there are parents in town, they're not here tonight because you're the superstar parents, that sponsor drinking parties, and some of them take keys and think that the kids are going to be safe. And that gets worse when they're driving, really, because luckily when you drive them around, you get to know where they're going, etc. I do have to just say quickly, and I know the teenagers are going to agree with this, there's high potency THC available to any teenager who wants it these days, and it's not weed that you had in high school. If any of you graduated, I guess, in the 90s college, right? Would that be you guys? I don't know, I'm getting so old, I don't know. So weed, until very recently, was about 3 to 7% available on the street. These high potency pens that they're smoking, so that guy's smoking an old fashioned joint, that kid's breathing out a pen, a cart, they're between 60 and 90% THC. So you like, in terms of the dose ratio, I can't even explain it. I used to say it's like the crack of weed, but it's actually not even the crack of weed, it's like a new product, and they're getting sick from it, they're having psychotic episodes, it doesn't smell. So it's really up to the parents to frighten them and say this is unacceptable and you're not going to do it, and don't blame the school for it. It's everywhere, and it's not necessarily from legal dispensaries, although some of that has trickled down, but they have pretty good restrictions of how much you can buy at legal dispensaries, but it's also made in clandestine labs, and kids are smoking it. It's just awful. Okay, this is kind of the summary of things. So effective communication with a teen limbic system. Remember, you're the alpha, you're the authoritative, you love them to pieces. The same kid who's melting down and rolling their eyes telling you you're stupid, they're gonna come back and they're gonna appreciate everything you did for them. But you're not gonna take the bait, right? Guess how I managed my 4 kids when I really lost it. I would run and take a timeout in my own bathroom for my own kids. Yep. And when I was really mad, they'd hear me saying old Catholic prayers would come back to me like that. And you run down the hallway, they'd be like, uh-oh, mom's really losing it tonight. And guess what? A temper tantrum is not an emergency. So if your teenager's having a temper tantrum, they need an audience. And no teenager, when the parent runs out of the room, stands in front of a full mirror and continues the temper tantrum. It's not effective. It doesn't work. They stop. Take it from me. I've been there, done that with 4 kids. I've taught hundreds and hundreds of families too. Parents will text me like, my God, that was the best advice ever, the best session. Like, he stopped. I'm like, yeah, no fuel for the fire, baby. That was the fait accompli. You said no, you left, good for you. I go, then maybe you don't need counseling, just keep doing that. That's what they need. My friend Nancy Rapport's a child psychiatrist at Harvard, and she says, we always want to tell the affluent parents, you give it these things and you may take them away. And I don't care if they use the bar mitzvah money for it, I don't care if they save their money, this, that, grandma gave it to me, blah, 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 blah. Your kid becomes like a lawyer, right, negotiating, when you go take the Xbox away. When meanwhile they're failing like 2 classes, right? Just do it. You don't ask a kid for permission, and this is where it's a little, that's authoritarian too. You say, hey, we had a deal. You could have the Xbox in your room. True story, again, from the Jorgensen household, different kid. As long as you kept your grades up. Grades stink, Xbox out, that was the deal. So sorry that you took it away from yourself. That was a little mean to me, but it was kind of making a point, like, we had a deal. You're capable of following the deal. You broke the deal, Xbox out, you can earn it back by getting all your grades up, right? Parents, use that stuff, use it to take away the phone. Especially if they do something inappropriate with the phone, take it away for a short period of time. Kids will tell you that they can't get up in the morning without a phone, they can't breathe, they can't eat, they can't sleep, whatever, like, no. All silly. And oh my God, don't give them a credit card, please. I almost want to get on my knees at my office and beg people, do not give a teenager a credit card. I mean, just don't. I don't want to tell you any terrible stories of kids racking up debt on stupid things, DoorDash and whatever. Unless you want to take it away right away to punish them, that's the only reason. And this is my last 2 slides. So behavior signs that are warning. I've been humorous tonight, but these are the things. So there's the normal teenage angst, and obviously I didn't focus on all the wonderful things about your kids because they're mostly wonderful, but you already know that. Occasionally, a child may have a sputtering temper tantrum, and I'm not making fun of that, but if that's the bulk of your communication with that child, they're probably suffering with something underneath, something's going on. Any dangerous behaviors repeated after consequences. One of my clients who eventually got to a good doctor and got the right diagnosis, he was speeding in one of the family cars and actually went 114 miles an hour on I-85, okay, in the family car. They took the car away, we did discipline, whatever. I already thought that his doctor that was treating him was not getting it right. He decided to kind of run away and went down on the old Tappan Zee Bridge, I think it's the Mario Cuomo Bridge now, and got clocked and got in an accident going 120 miles an hour. He had bipolar illness, so he was developing an illness. So even after, which causes sometimes real impulsivity, real crazy behavior. So you got to get that kid evaluated. If they've done something dangerous, you discipline them, they do it again. It might not be bipolar, it might not be an illness, but you got to go. If there's intense secrecy, kids love privacy and they deserve privacy. I never looked at my kid's phone. My rule was if you're missing, I'm going to go through everything. So I have your password. So if you're missing, I'm looking up everything. If you're 2 hours late, I don't know where you are. But again, to authoritative parenting, well, you have control over not being 2 hours late and calling us, right? So really, I'm not a big fan of the constant surveillance of teenagers. It just causes a lot of fights and a lot of unnecessary, and they're so sneaky. They leave the phone at the library with friends that stay there and they go out and do stuff anyway. So that's just my 2 cents. Of course, if they've already done something dangerous, that you might use the phone to monitor them after. If there's self-harm at all, cutting, burning, cutting the legs, etc., that's a sign of, they need help. And repeated school failure, your guidance team is wonderful, the teachers are wonderful, they'll help them. But if there's repeated failure, even despite propping them up in scaffolding, if there's a sudden change in all friends and behaviors, but don't be surprised if your 8th grader makes a lot of new friends coming into high school. That's normal, so not the transition. And if they say anything about death and suicide, even if a kid says it somewhat manipulatively, which kids do, oh my God, I want to kill myself, 1 trip to the ER will cure that behavior. That's what I do in my office. If a kid is threatening it, I go, oh, damn, I wanted to go home early. Well, what's the matter? We got to go up to the hospital. You got to call the ambulance, we got to go to the hospital. You repeatedly tell your mom you're going to kill yourself when she takes away your phone. We got to do that. You guys are great. Don't give up. If your teenager's not mad at you at least a few times a week, you're a slacker. I'm telling you right now. So how many of you feel like, woohoo, I'm the best parent in town? We've got to have a sense of humor. That's why I put so much humor into my presentation, because if you can see their transgressions as actually kind of funny, like everything my kids did wrong is a great funny story now, right? And we don't necessarily tell them in front of the kids, but some of them, I was with my son and his girlfriend, who I hope he's going to marry, we love his mom, and he was telling his version of a wackadoodle story, and it's funny now. And parenting is priceless with love and limits. And thank you all for being the meanest parent in town of an 8th grader. I'm glad to say at the end, well, the kids are what you really want to hear. You want to hear the students, but I'm glad to stay and answer any questions. A couple questions now. Where's Deb? Do I have a minute for questions? I was getting the high sign that it was time to stop. But okay, any questions, comments, disagreements? Do any of you have an angelic child who you can't see and what I'm talking about? Honestly, truly, my youngest daughter thought she was gonna be the only kid. Because sometimes the youngest have a little chip on their shoulder if it's a big family too, like, and her thing was she was never gonna go to the principal's office, she was never gonna get in trouble. And her biggest heartbreak getting caught with something stupid was, she sat on my lap like a baby sobbing, 15-year-old, oh, the other kids did such crazy stuff and I thought I learned from them. I'm like, honey, remember what I told you about the limbic system, you know? I go, you're grounded, obviously, you're gonna give me your phone this second, but you're human and you made a big mistake and you're gonna learn from it, right? Okay, thank you guys for